this video is pertaining to is sweet potato. And sweet potato are grown in what is called slips. And you see how that one's pretty darn close to being planted right there. You see that? See if I can get my camera to focus. There it is. That is a slip, and it is growing roots right now. Now, this is a method that I kind of devised to grow sweet potatoes in slips. But I have some pool noodles that I had cut up in here to help give the plants buoyancy to stay up. And then I just stuck them in a glass of water. All right. And that water also has a little bit of nutrients in it. I'm using the Fox Farm Grow Big liquid plant food. It's a 644. It also has a um, bit of, see if I can get it to focus. Come on. There we go. A bit of nutrients in it. You can see boron, copper, iron, manganese, and zinc trace minerals. Those are all good for healthy plant growth, and you can see that plant is loving it, right? And so I have my sweet potatoes growing in there, the slips, and I am actually slipping out my sweet potatoes from these 3 potatoes, and I have a couple back there that are ready to probably be put in here to get planted. Now, I have a couple. Now, if you haven't started sweet potatoes and you are in a early growing zone, like let's say you are in zone 6, 5, I don't even think that you could probably grow them in 4 without having a greenhouse completely the entire time. 5, you could probably get away with it. But I'm in zone 7. And so zone 7, you should have started your sweet potato slips probably about 4 to 8 weeks ago, anywhere in that range. It takes them a while. They take them a hot minute to start slipping out. So, and you can see that I have these potatoes half covered right here. They're not even fully covered. I keep them moist to damp. I have a little bit of dryness back there in that corner I need to solve here in a couple minutes. I'll put a little extra three water on plants are going to net me probably somewhere around 10 to 15 slips. So if you need more slips than that, you might have to order them online. Sellers will sell these slips right here. Now these are the jewel variety, and sweet potatoes aren't actually sweet potatoes at all. They're actually part of a certain family, the morning glory family. And if you guys have seen my raised bed video, you know I don't like morning glory, but I do like sweet potatoes. Now this is the jewel variety, as I said. So these I got from the supermarket. So I grew these off from regular potatoes, as you've seen in that last clip. Those potatoes, I then plucked them off, and then I put them in a little water. This one was just in the soil. That's why you see all that soil mixture on it, because it had already rooted in the soil by itself. So I didn't need to root it. That's plenty of roots to be able to plant these and get this sweet potato started here. I'm probably going to take any leaves below your soil line you want to pull off. So I'm going to throw those down. And then this one here as well, I'm going to take that off. So we're left with just kind of a sweet potato like that. Yeah, you have a few leaves here. Now every single node here, I'll probably take this lower one off too. And then we'll be left with these upper. Now each one of these nodes where these leaves are, they'll actually grow roots. And you could snip this sweet potato into several different pieces. If it was a 6 or 7 inch piece, you let this grow a little longer on the plant or in the jar, you'd have more slips that you could plant. Each one of these little nodes is what you could refer to as a slip. But I've actually heard, I've never practiced myself, but I've heard that if you do plant these where these nodules are, and you do individual ones, you kind of get less of a harvest. So I'd rather just plant the whole entire slip itself. And we're going to count this whole thing as a slip. Now, these are some larger ones that have already been growing for a while. You see how much bigger those leaves are and how healthy those look. Here's another one right here. So I potted these up in bigger size pots just to get ready for when I transplant them out. I wanted to get a head start on the growing season since I am in zone 7. Zone 7, it's going to take a little longer for me to produce these. And I might have to spend some time moving these bags in the greenhouse when it gets a little chilly out. But let's pot these guys up. So I got some 3.5-inch pots right here for these guys. Since they're a little smaller, it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll just kind of push our soil kind of sideways like that away, and we'll get the root ball down in there. I might have to take some of the soil out because that's actually a decent amount of roots. You don't want to be too aggressive with the roots, but you don't actually have to be super gentle either. We want to just get the root ball in there and then kind of push it down. And I might top off with a little bit of soil here in a minute. I didn't bring any in here, unfortunately, but I'll pot that up a little bit and give it a little bit of a tug up and get some more soil in there. But that's what you're going to want. You're going to want to make sure that that plant is nice and steady and kind of up like that. Let's do the other one here. That one's a little bit taller, so it's, but with slightly less roots, to be honest. That one was more of a jar. The ones that were growing in the jar had a lot more nutrients, so they put out a lot more leaves and a little bit more on terms of the quantity of root mass. Like the roots are actually pretty thick, but it didn't put out like a big long taproot like that one did. So there we go. That one's all potted up. So that's all you have to do. These are ready to plant out in a couple weeks. So for zone 7, couple weeks. If you're a little bit colder, you're going to have to wait a little longer to plant these out. And you should have probably started these at least 6 to 8 weeks ago to get these going. Sweet potatoes are notoriously long days. They're more of a tropical type of plant, even though they're part of the morning glory family. To get those tuber production, it has to be long. Now, in terms of fertilization for these, let's just talk about that for 1 minute. Fertilization for sweet potato slips and sweet potatoes is very small amounts. So you don't want to over fertilize these. If you do too much intense soil when you're trying to produce tubers, the tubers will not form. They just won't form. So you're going to want to use a decent amount of bone meal is a good one. Bone meal is a great source of calcium, and it is great for growing roots and blooms. And then you're going to want to use a little bit of nitrogen in your fertilizer, but not too much. You really want to keep the amount low. So if you have a fertilizer that's rated like 3, 6, 4, that's going to be perfect for fertilizing these plants. Now, when you put them in your grow bags, you're going to want to mix them up with a little bit of organic compost or manure, probably like 10 to 15% of the mixture, organic compost or manure. And the rest of it, you're going to want to be perlite or soilless media. So coco coir and sphagnum moss are going to be great options for you to plant these up into grow bags or any sort of bed. When you do plant them out, though, this is a huge warning. Don't plant them in a bed that you plan on using in another year for something else. It's kind of like asparagus. You know, you plant asparagus once and it just keeps coming up forever. That's a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes, even though you dig them all up, there'll be a small section of root somewhere that will be somewhere, and then it will just pop up and it will go absolutely bonkers throughout your entire greenhouse, grow bed, whatever, grow bag, whatever you're doing. And so just try to quarantine that pot or grow bag or bed section to just be a sweet potato section or sweet potato bag or whatever you're going to be doing from now on at that point. So you don't want to grow them in different areas, different years. You want to, an area that has a lot of sun, needs to be full sun for sure. Definitely not on the shady side, and it needs to have enough room for them to either sprawl out or you to trellis them up. So those are the two kind of the big tips I have there on sweet potatoes. Now, this is only my second go around of growing sweet potatoes. My first was kind of a little bit of a failure. I'll be honest about that. I had too much. I grew a lot of leaves, too much fertilizer, and I realized that, and so that's my mistake. I'm trying it again this year. Too much leaves and not enough
root mats. You want to be growing roots, not leaves. That's what makes good sweet potatoes, and what makes them produce. All right, folks. So those are my tips for growing sweet potatoes. You're going to want to make sure and just follow those, and you should have a pretty good season as long as you produce your mix right. Like I said, you're going to want to produce a mix for sweet potatoes of somewhere in a 15% manure, and then you're going to want some sand in there, or topsoil, and then some soilless media, and maybe some perlite so that it doesn't compact. But those are my tips for growing sweet potatoes. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care, everybody. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share whenever you can, and we'll see you in the next one.